Congressman, where are you on what they're crafting right now? Hard to know what they're crafting, but what do you think?
Yeah, Neil, great to be on. I mean, look, I oppose the continuing resolution, the so-called extension of funding, which will continue the Nancy Pelosi spending levels, the Nancy Pelosi policy priorities, which you saw Congresswoman Jayapal, the head of the Progressive Caucus, out applauding the fact that we're going to continue to spend at 2023 levels. That is the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill that Republicans roundly opposed last year. And now we have all of the credible evidence, with Moody's last week threatening the downgrade with respect to the outlook, where we're seeing in terms of the Treasury auction last week, which was absolutely abysmal, because we know that under this administration we've raised interest rates some 500 basis points, and for every 100 basis points, every 1%, you get about $180 billion of additional interest expense. We are cratering our economy by spending ourselves into oblivion, and we should stop that. Republicans ran on cutting spending, and we're going to continue to kick the can down the road. Now, look, I applaud not having, the Speaker's position of not having an omnibus bill before Christmas. But the best way to do that is just tell Schumer no. You don't have to have some magic tricks to do that. Just tell Schumer, no, you're not going to have an omnibus before Christmas, instead of doing this bill where we kick it down to January and we pile the farm bill on top of it and spend $500 billion, about $400 billion, by January to continue to rack up debt. I think it's a mistake.
Do you think if the Speaker reaches to Democrats, as Kevin McCarthy did, he's in trouble?
Look, I'm not going to go down that road. I do think it is kind of interesting that, Speaker McCarthy was deposed for putting forward a continuing resolution, and here we are, and we're going to do the exact same thing. I think that's a mistake. I've told the Speaker that. I've publicly said that. I will vote against the bill today on the floor. If it passes, we'll wake up and we'll keep fighting tomorrow. But look, I got to tell you, you can't assume my vote on any bill if the Speaker is going to roll us with a, use of the rules to suspend the rules this afternoon to pass something that is that the American people didn't send us here to do. So, in trouble, I don't know, but it ain't a good start. And all I know is if they're negotiating border provisions next week on Ukraine, this better not be the model of the approach, or there will be, trouble in so-called paradise.
When you say trouble in so-called paradise, Congressman, I believe the rule still stands that if even one member has a problem with the Speaker, they can go after him. They can try to topple him. That's what happened to Kevin McCarthy. Do you envision that?
Yeah, I don't like playing the ultimatum game. I will just simply say that I don't want anybody to try to sell me something and call it border security if it's not. So we'll sit down, we'll decide on what something looks like in terms of border security, but don't come to me with some nonsense with Ukraine and border security that doesn't actually secure the border, or we're going to have to call BS on that. Right now, let's focus on doing our job. We came to Washington to cut spending, secure the border, stop this woke nonsense, and to stand up against the Biden regime. This is not a good step forward in doing that, but we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll get back at it.
Do you think, Congressman, though, that maybe the Speaker, the new Speaker, is convinced that you guys don't want to repeat a McCarthy, some call a fiasco, and that it dragged on and took weeks to find a replacement? So he's almost daring you guys to do something.
It's not in Mike's DNA to play that kind of a game. Mike is a good man. He's a friend, and I respect him enormously, truly. I didn't play that game before, right? I opposed, the effort to motion to vacate Kevin. And I don't really itch to motion to vacate Mike or anybody else. I just want us to go do our job. That's what I wanted out of Kevin. That's what I want out of Mike. We promised the American people that we would stand to thwart this administration, cut spending, secure the border. We've delivered on none of that so far. All we've delivered on is increasing the debt $4 to $6 trillion, and now 2 CRs at the Pelosi spending levels. That is what we've bought for a year's worth of work. I think we owe the American people better than that.
So to echo that point again, Congressman, just to be clear, the Speaker is essentially doing what his predecessor did. And trying to, just handle it in a more friendly manner, I guess. But in the end, it is essentially doing what Kevin McCarthy did. But you think his heart is in the right place?
Look, I think Mike's heart is in the right place, but look, I think Kevin's heart was in the right place with what he was trying to do in the fall with the tough circumstances of a thin majority. All I want is all of us to sit at the table, unite, and go fight. But if all of our colleagues are going to sit back and go, oh, a shutdown, well, guess what's going to happen in January? If they go, oh, no, the debt ceiling is going to expire, well, guess what's going to happen? At some point when the founders gave the House of Representatives the power of the purse, which James Madison eloquently explained is our greatest tool to push back against the tyranny of the executive branch, maybe we ought to use it. But if you're going to just, completely abandon it, then why don't you just give your voting card to the Democrats and say, peace out? Because that's essentially what Republicans are doing.
All right. Always good having you, Congressman. You're very good with that math. Very fast at interpreting higher rates and how much it's to the debt. Good seeing you again. Be well. Be safe.
Thanks, Neil.